Hey everybody. All right. I'm going to say goodbye today. This is going to be my last video. I think I've said everything there has to say in terms of workplace mobbing. Again, I'm one person. Yes, I'm going to own the badge. Mobbed 3 times, twice a bystander. The last time I was mobbed, I made some decisions. I owned who I was. Now, I'm going to kind of close with some final thoughts. I don't want to be redundant. Please refer to videos, look at the titles. They're as descriptive as they can be. And see if you can garner some good information from them. Now, lately what I've noticed is that any kind of dissent or swaying away from the mainstream narrative attracts a lot of trolls, okay? Shills, trolls, whatever you want to call them. Now, I moderate my own channel, and I won't allow anybody to post just anything, and I delete a lot of the comments. And it's not because I don't like dissent, because some people will disagree, and that's fine. But there are a lot of people out there that are just trying to prop up the mainstream narrative and blame the victim or target of mobbing. I'll give you an example. I posted one. Actually, it was kind of slimy. I had a feeling. I just wanted to see where it went. And it hasn't gone too far. Might go further, but God knows, and I don't really care. But here we go. And there was a couple of them that I just looked at and went, yeah, here we go. So you'll get a lot of mobbers that will peruse these channels as well and will essentially blame the victim. Like, I was mobbed one time, then I learned a skill that was invaluable. And because I learned this skill set, when I went into my new place of work, I made friends with some of the higher-ups. Of course, kiss up. Remember, people? Kiss up. Don't kiss laterally. Definitely don't kiss down. Make friends with the higher-ups. And the moment I gave them one opportunity to redeem themselves of their bad behavior, and they wanted to keep me so bad, management, and I went to see my friends who were the boss of this person's boss who was bullying me, and I ended up getting a raise out of it. Well, bully for you. Okay, why are you even watching this channel? In other words, you're going to get a lot of inauthenticity out there. Okay, now, authenticity to me is important, but authenticity to myself, authenticity to people that have been through this or are going through this legitimately. So I'll stay authentic to me and to the people who I believe deserve it or need it. It's as simple as that. We're living also in a time where empathy is on the decline. It just is. And we know it. We see our society as being polarized, pulled in all kinds of different directions, and there's so many false narratives. Tons. I'll give you an example of a false narrative that has nothing to do with mobbing. Reverse racism doesn't exist. It's impossible for people who have been oppressed to be racist. That is just simply not true. You can absolutely dislike someone or down them for their color or their creed or nationality. It happens all the time. So, you can't, you have these people kind of protecting themselves, from themselves. Now, if you're a racist, own the fact of who you are and what you are. If you don't like that about yourself, do something active to change it. Don't deny the truth. If you got anything from my channel beyond strategies, okay, bully-proofing yourself, there are ways that you can absolutely bully-proof yourself. But there are consequences to every action you take. Like I say, put your butt up and your head down. Well, look, if you choose to do that, that's your choice. Own it. Own it. If you can sleep well at night and you're not disturbed inside, then do it. What can I tell you? Do I think it's the right choice? Well, for myself, it's not. I really don't think it's the right choice because nothing will change if you do that. Now, changing narratives is really hard. And yes, they say the power of one. The truth is, people are always overwhelmed by the tribe. When you're in a situation of mobbing, I'll tell you this. Once you get into that situation, and typically you've gotten into that situation because you're authentic, you stood up for something, okay? And people don't like that. People don't like to be challenged. And I can tell you this also, ethical management is becoming a thing of the past, especially in big organizations, hierarchical organizations. Just is what it is. And there are not too many mom and pop shops left, okay? People who kiss up and kick down are very easy to manage. And remember, it's a hierarchical organization, and you got a lot of yes men and women out there. Okay, now if you're not that type and you're living that type of life and you're living inauthentically to yourself, I doubt you're going to be very happy. Or maybe you've made, again, as long as you make the choice, know who you are, know what you want, and act accordingly. If you make the choice and you decide, like, look, I'm going to sell a part of my soul because I want to make money, own it. Don't complain afterwards. All right? Like when I looked at the Me Too movement and you had all of these actresses that are, oh my God, I got raped. Look, you go to a guy's hotel room, he greets you, at the door with a robe. What do you think is going to happen? You can't have it both ways. You made a choice, in my opinion, anyhow. I don't think women are helpless. We're not. Okay? But a lot of people like to play that type of game, and then they'll complain. Well, if you're not that type of person, you want to give yourself a nice life. Simple. Okay, maybe you're not going to be rich and famous. That's okay. That's not for everybody either. I'm sorry. Okay? Just know who you are and choose accordingly. You want to be a part of the corporate world? Well, I'll tell you this. If you're a free thinker, authentic, and have some ethics, you're going to have a hard time. You want to belong to an organization that is of hive mind, and you could think of anything from, any kind of organization where people have to act in a particular way and follow absolute orders and extreme orders, even if they're wrong, you're going to have a hard time. So my advice to you is this. Know thyself. Take that dive inwards. Why was I mobbed 3 times? Well, the first 2 times, I could say, well, I stood up for something and everybody freaked out around me and I put my head down and my behind up because I didn't know what else to do. I hadn't taken that dive inwards. The last time, I knew what was going on. I made some choices. Now, some of you will judge the choices as wrong, and that's fair. We're supposed to judge, by the way. There's nothing wrong with, I can't judge. Absolutely, we're human. We're supposed to. Our judgment is a part of our animal, and it helps protect us. Okay, it helps us also make active choices. Now, to go around and I'm judging this person and I'm judging that person, judge yourself first. Okay? You want to judge others? No problem. I mean, you're going to have to sometimes. Just it's part of knowing your environment, which you cannot often control the actions of others, right? But you can control your actions and your reactions. Make choices that are good for you. But you got to know who you are in order to do that. Again, we're suffering from this hive-mindedness, if you will. The left and the right and these polarized paradigms and false narratives. Well, I, for one, am not into the false narratives. I guess I'm a dinosaur, but that's okay. I own that too. So if you're authentic with yourself and you know yourself, you can make choices according to what it is that you want and what it is you can tolerate. All right. Now, if you're an empath, HSP, if you're the type of person who likes to live authentically and doesn't, can't sleep well at night if they're a witness to something that's unethical or seeing something unethical going on, you're going to have a hard time in the corporate world. Sorry. It just is what it is. So maybe the corporate world isn't for you, or maybe, you're going to have to do some heavy behavior modification to yourself. That's your choice. You choose. But if you notice that you're not sleeping well at night and you're not happy, there's a problem somewhere. They say something like, I think it was Gurdjieff who said that man is like a machine, right? They're like a machine until they start to fuse the parts of themselves together. That's the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Until you become aware of those and they actually start to work together and not in parallel, you're basically operating like a machine. I've done it and I wasn't happy. Now that was me. Okay? What made me happy and makes me happy is incorporating all of that, owning who I am. Now, there are costs to owning who you are, especially in a society like this. I'll tell you what one of the costs are. Reputation. Okay? Reputation. The cost of reputation is character. You want a good reputation, you're going to have to forego your own character. Now, if you're a psychopath, or a psychopath doesn't care either way, right? They sleep well at night. They don't feel bad. They could change face, behave, act in particular ways, and they're fine with it as long as they achieve their ends. So blessed are they. As crazy as that sounds, they're lucky. They get to sleep at night. Now, if you're not made that way and you actually have a core in essence and you do crappy things, you're not going to sleep well at night. You're living inauthentically. So you're going to have to fix something. You have to take that dive inwards at some point or live miserably. Narcissists. A narcissist, as long as everybody in the environment is controlled, which they can't do, by the way. It's impossible to control everyone in your environment. You can manipulate situations, but eventually, situation will hit you that you cannot control, even as a narcissist, malignant or covert. So they don't tend to sleep very well at night either. They're always vigilant, hypervigilant. And again, they're more socially sensitive than the HSP. The HSP is sensitive in terms of sensing what's going on, feeling it deeply. Almost like ESP in a way. Okay? So you know when it's an authentic, and if you know that, you can still strategize. But again, be true to you to begin with. So that's my honest to goodness advice in terms of how to navigate your way out of a mobbing. I have tons of videos about that kind of stuff. Check it out. See what suits you, but I would definitely suggest if you're in this and you're panicking and you're feeling that PTSD kind of feeling coming on, take a break, unplug, regroup, send your CV out there and get out as soon as possible. Because once a mobbing hits that stage 3, they typically do not end well. Now, again, the mainstream narrative is, and I said clock everything, right? Like write everything down. That's when you have the conversation with someone and say, I didn't like your behavior. I'd like to talk to you about a few things. Because they'll deny certain things. And if you have it written down, you could tell them time, place, etc. No, you actually did this to me on this date, blah, blah, blah. Now, some people will say, clock everything down and bring it to the higher ups in your HR and your union. Trust me, if you had a good union, HR and management, mobbing simply wouldn't occur. Differences would be resolved and management would get involved. Right? So the moment you'd have a problem, you'd go see somebody, whether they liked you personally, knew you personally or not, they'd be ethical about it. So know that. Know your landscape, but know yourself also. All right? And act accordingly. Okay? To what your needs are. To me, it's to what your needs are. Know what your needs are, know what your wants are, and that way you can kind of design your life accordingly. You could still do that today, even in this age of neoliberalism, but there's always a cost. So yes, the cost of reputation is character, okay? I talked about niceness over kindness. I'm not always nice, Oh, well, she deserved getting mobbed because she said this and it wasn't nice. Kindness isn't always nice. Kindness is honest, and honesty can be brutal sometimes, okay? And you don't even have to approach it brutally. But remember, if you're dealing with narcissists, the moment you do something or say something that is counter to their narrative or the way they want to control their environment, forget about it, especially if that person has a degree of power. So that was my case in all the mobbings. All right? So there's typically a narcissist involved. There could be a psychopath involved who just strategically says, oh, I don't like that one. They pose a challenge, or they're different, or they speak their mind. I think that one has to go. And often in terms of the higher ups, who are you going to find? You're going to find a lot of narcissists and a lot of psychopaths. These are the people who tend to hunger for power over others. Okay? Now I could rant on even about the whole concept of management, which I find absolutely ridiculous. We're adults. If you're conscientious, this is your job, do your job. Micromanagement to me, which is something that I've had to deal with over and over again by people who had less skills for the most part than I did. Sadly, it's the truth. Call me what you want, judge me if you like, but it's true. Is violent act. When you start squeezing the bits out of someone, or you have to do this, you have to do that. But it also shows their insecurity. Now, if you've been smeared, and likely if you've gone through mobbing, you know what the smear tactics are in the smear campaign. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. It hurts at first. Once you take the dive inwards, which is really hard to do, okay, you're going to have to face your reality. It hurts. Again, I recommend therapy. Essential to go through therapy. Pills, not so much. A lot of people do the pill thing to get immediate relief. To me, if you can handle it, if you have some support around, go through the pain. Do the therapy route. It beats the pills. The pills just mask what is. And people end up suffering. Okay, a lot of the times from PTSD and CPTSD and all those fun things. Okay, so try to integrate yourself. Therapy helps a lot. That self care stuff that I talked about, centering yourself, doing mindfulness things, beautiful stuff, exercise. I forgot to mention music. Music is amazing and healing, art, just things to really help you. Okay, especially if you're an empath or an HSP. Okay, they're really, really good strategies. And again, to be kind, to have to be nice all the time is exhausting and inauthentic. To me, it's like do your work, do what you got to do. Again, and choose accordingly. And know in the corporate world, yeah, you have to nice all the time. And, do activities sometimes that are entirely useless. Oh, today we're honoring this particular nationality that's been oppressed. We're all going to wear blankets. How does that help anybody? It really doesn't. What helps is exposing false narratives. That's my opinion. It's pretty much the only thing that we could do today. But I keep saying it's a collective effort. That means start your own channel, blog about it. We got to support each other in this. I know it's hard to talk about, but the only way that potential change will happen, maybe not for ourselves. Like I said, I'm not, I want to change the corporate environment. It is what it is. Can't really do much about it, but you can expose it for what it is. Again, narcissists are very weak and they're not so intelligent. They're just very manipulative and they're very socially sensitive, hypersensitive. So any perceived slight, they will react very badly. Okay. And so in our society today, we look at the targets, the victims of mobbing, as people who are deficient in some way, shape, or form, which is not true. They deem the targets and victims as the weak ones. The weak ones are actually the bystanders, the narcissists. I won't say the psychopaths. They're not weak. They're not. They're not strong either. They just have nothing. They have no essence. So I guess in terms of this, the way it's going, in terms of our rampantly capitalist society, the ones who have the advantage in terms of money and power are definitely the psychopaths, and to a lesser degree, the malignant narcissists. That's about it. If you have anything to add, please feel free. You can contact me. Again, if you're a mobber or if you're trying to, do the victim blaming thing, I'm just going to delete your comments and that's that, and whatever. But if you're authentic and you have something to add or you're going through a hard time or whatever the case is you want to post, I will be from time to time checking this channel out. And I wish you the best. Peace, love, Foxy D, signing off. And it's time now to design your life and complete your journey. All right, you take care. Love you. Bye.